Brian Clark. Officials in Ukraine say a train station packed with civilians was hit by a rocket strike. The aftermath and videos that were shared to social media, the head of the country's railways say at least 30 people were killed. Russia, though, is denying any involvement in the strike. However, there has been evidence of other atrocities in Ukraine, says ABC's Alex Prochet.
Officials say hundreds of people have been found dead in Bucha. And last night, Ukrainian President Zelensky said the situation is much worse in neighboring Borodanka, where investigators say they found 26 bodies buried in the rubble on Thursday. Zelensky also accuses Russia of using hunger as a weapon by blocking food supplies.
In the U.S., Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson confirmed by the Senate Thursday to be the next Supreme Court justice. The 53-47 bipartisan vote has historic implications, says ABC's Rachel Scott on Capitol Hill.
The nation's first black and Asian American vice president ecstatic after presiding over the occasion.
Madam Vice President, could you tell us how you're feeling today about this historic vote?
I'm overjoyed, deeply moved.
When the 51-year-old Jackson joins the court for the first time in history, 4 of the 9 justices will be women, and white men will be in the minority.
Judge Jackson, the first black woman confirmed to the court, will speak at a White House event today, along with President Biden and Vice President Harris. There are COVID-19 concerns in Washington. The vice president deemed a close contact after a member of her communications staff tested positive. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi tested positive one day after she was standing next to President Biden at an event. Federal appeals court in New Orleans upheld the Biden administration's vaccine mandate for federal employees. And Tiger Woods plans after the first round of the Masters, his first competitive round of golf since he was seriously hurt in a car accident last year, a lot of ice. You're listening to ABC News.
Stress. It never seems to end when you owe money to the IRS. What about the years of unfiled tax returns? Have you tried another tax service and gotten nowhere? Then you need Tax Alliance. Why? Years of being A+ rated with a Better Business Bureau with no consumer complaints sets them apart. Call 800-987-1097. That's 800-987-1097. Don't wait until the IRS attacks your wages, bank account, your home or pension, and even your Social Security check. Tax Alliance specializes in IRS tax relief programs, including the Fresh Start Initiative, which can finally free yourself from IRS debt. Their tax professionals can file returns, fight the IRS to substantially lower your IRS debt, or possibly even have it forgiven. If you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes, have unfiled tax returns, or have a payment plan and are still frustrated, call 800-987-1097. That's 800-987-1097.
Tax Alliance, your tax resolution solution.
The investigation continues into 2 men accused of posing as Homeland Security agents, duping some members of the Secret Service and giving them expensive gifts. ABC's chief global affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz has more.
Federal prosecutors saying that over the course of 2 years, Haider Ali, along with his accomplice Ariane Taherzadeh, provided Secret Service agents with lavish gifts, free apartments totaling $40,000, iPhones, a flat-screen TV, surveillance systems, and that Taherzadeh offered to buy a $2,000 assault rifle for a member of the First Lady's protective detail.
There are questions about where the two got all that money. One of them has claimed connections to Pakistani intelligence. Another deadly attack in Israel, this time in Tel Aviv. 2 people were shot and killed. 2 more were wounded. The suspect, a Palestinian man, was killed in a shootout with police. Lawmakers in South Carolina's House passing a bill that would ban transgender athletes from competing in girls' and women's sports at schools and universities. More than a dozen states are moving ahead with similar measures. And Walmart is looking for a few good truckers. In an effort to keep its supply chains moving, world's biggest retailer is upping the starting pay for its in-house drivers to as much as $110,000 a year. This is ABC News.
If you have a small business, Staples has your sign.
Banners for my bakery?
Staples has your sign.
Oh, posters for my new pet store.
Floor decals for a pharmacy.
Every day, Staples associates help every kind of small business create bold signs to make big impressions. And now get $10 off custom signs, banners, and posters when you spend $50 or more. This is your sign, so print it big at Staples. Ends 5/28. Visit staplesconnect.com/thisisyoursign for details.
Brian Clark, ABC News.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. We're seeing a partly cloudy sky with stray showers around the area for your morning commute. Chilly start to the day as well. For this afternoon, we'll see a partly cloudy sky, stray showers also possible through the afternoon as a cold front moves east. Highs today will be staying in the 60s. Mostly clear sky for tonight. We'll start off in the upper 30s to around 40 for Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon, we'll see a partly cloudy to mostly cloudy afternoon. Highs staying in the 50s. I'm meteorologist Zach Malak in the Weather Center.
We got a beautiful day, although it's an iffy day. Right now we're 42 and cloudy. They are telling us we may get some rain showers later today and some wind gusts up to about 30 miles per hour today. So that's going to be one of those days. Tonight, mostly clear, lows around 32. My goodness, 32. And wind gusting to 26 miles per hour. So if it's 32 tonight and wind gusting to 26 miles per hour, that means we need to stay inside and wrap up with some blankets tonight. But otherwise, it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day in the neighborhood. Due to the number of obituaries, we're going to hold off on the obituaries until later after the Bill O'Reilly's morning update. Quite a few don't want to step on that, so we'll hold off on that. Meanwhile, I do have these announcements. Stories will repeat again, those during the 8 o'clock hour. An alert deputy on patrol spotted them following a pickup truck and discovered it wrecked in a ditch. Suspect was in that. A subsequent investigation revealed the truck had been stolen, and the occupants of the truck were later linked to a rash of break-ins and thefts. In the early morning hours of April 4th, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office Patrol Division responded to the area of Old Gilbertown Road, Rutherford, in reference to suspicious subjects in that area. While patrolling the vicinity, a deputy spotted a Dodge truck driving without a lights on. The deputy turned around on the truck and found it in a ditch, flipped upside down. The occupants were helped out of the vehicle and was provided to those in need, according to the sheriff's office. Deputies learned that the truck had just been stolen from a residence on Old Gilbertown Road. The occupants were Joel Ethan Stone, 20, and two juveniles, ages 14 and 16. A firearm was also located during the search of the Dodge truck. Deputies learned that earlier this same night, Stone and juveniles were involved in another larceny of a motor vehicle, where the victims heard two gunshots come from his vehicle and he was trying to stop the suspects from stealing it. This occurred on Sterling Street in Spindale prior to the larceny of the Dodge truck, according to the sheriff's office. The Rutherford County Criminal Investigation Division responded to assist, and during the course of the investigation, the juveniles were linked to cases dating back to February 21st, 2022, that had been reported to Rutherford Police, Spindale Police, and the sheriff's office. In partnership with the Rutherford Police Department, Spindale Police Department, and Department of Juvenile Justice, cases related to break-ins and thefts were solved from Old Gilbertown Road, Whiteside Road, Old Ballpark Road, Hunting Drive, Railroad Avenue, Rutherford Regional Hospital, South Ridgecrest Avenue, Freeman Street, Maple Street, and Ellington Street. From the solving of these numerous cases, 2 adults and 2 juveniles have been charged with multiple criminal acts, according to the records. Stone was charged with 2 counts of larceny of a motor vehicle, 3 counts of break and entering a motor vehicle, 2 counts of misdemeanor larceny, and assault with a deadly weapon. Abigail Faith Buckner, 19, was charged with 2 counts of breaking and entering a motor vehicle and misdemeanor larceny. The 16-year-old juvenile was charged with 27 counts of breaking and entering motor vehicles, 5 counts of larceny of a motor vehicle, 10 counts of misdemeanor larceny, felony larceny, and 2 counts of injury to personal property. A 14-year-old juvenile was charged with 22 counts of breaking and entering motor vehicles, 5 counts of larceny of a motor vehicle, 10 counts of misdemeanor larceny, felony larceny charges, and 2 counts of injury to personal property. 3 stolen firearms were recovered during those investigations. Stone and Buckner are in custody at the Rutherford County Slammer, and both juveniles are in secured custody of Department of Juvenile Justice. Good case there, good crime spree that ended when the suspects were caught overturned in their vehicle. We'll have more on that during the 8 o'clock hour of news from here in their session, so be sure to hang around and stay tuned, get more information, and we'll see what else is developing. As we take this moment to do the Bill O'Reilly morning update, we'll get back in from that and remind you right now that the Braves lost to the Reds last night 6-3. They'll be at it again this evening for the second of 4-game stretch.
Hey, it's Mike Slater in San Diego, filling in for Bill O'Reilly. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, a word.
AMAC is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits, insightful news, and a magazine full of uncensored content. They are pushing back against efforts to defund the police, weaken the borders, and corrupt our youth. But they need your help. Please stand with AMAC at amac.us. That's AMAC.us.
Mike Slater filling in for Bill O'Reilly. On this Friday morning, I am thinking about working. Dan Patrick, sports commentator. Years ago, he was offered to sign a mega deal with ESPN. He's going to have his own show and the whole thing. His dream job, working his whole life for this opportunity. It was a 5-year deal. His kids were 9 to 15 years old. And the morning that he was going to go sign the deal, his wife said, "Are you sure you want to do this? They're all going to be out of the house when you're done." He drove 55 minutes to ESPN, and his boss said, "Are you going to take it or leave it?" And Dan Patrick paused and said, "I'm going to leave it." And his boss said, "Great, I'll get the contract for you right now. You can sign." The boss didn't hear him. "What do you mean you're going to leave it? What are you talking about?" Dan Patrick walked outside of ESPN and called his wife and said, "I'm coming home." She said, "Okay." And he said, No, I'm coming home. I'm leaving ESPN." And his wife said, "If we have to sell the house, we'll sell the house. We'll do whatever it takes." He said it was so clear that she had the right perspective while he had none. And thank God I came home. He had 3 daughters, 9, 11, and 12. He said they needed me there. I didn't know how much. Best decision I've ever made. Now listen, there's nobility in working hard. Your kids will see that. You need to provide for your family. Your kids will honor that, of course. Sometimes there's seasons of life where you got to do what you got to do. But also, don't miss it. Don't miss their childhood. Don't blink. Enjoy your weekend.
Did you know that cars today have more tech than the first spaceship? Something's guaranteed to break. That's why you need CarShield. When you need a repair, you can choose the mechanic, and CarShield gets the rest taken care of. Plans through CarShield even provide rental car options, roadside assistance, trip reimbursement, all at no extra cost. So get covered today and save 10%. Please go to carshield.com/bill or call 800-391-8888. A deductible may apply.
It's been an honor to fill in for Bill O'Reilly. Thank you so much for being here. MikeSlater.locals.com. Have a great weekend.
Now at 7:13, I have these death announcements this morning. Donald Eugene Barnett, 48, passed away on Tuesday, April the 5th at Rutherford Regional Medical Center. Those arrangements are incomplete at this time for Donald Eugene Barnett. Cynthia K. Sloan Hambrick, 50, passed away on Sunday, April 3rd at her home. Those arrangements are incomplete and entrusted to Robert Morgan Funeral and Cremation Services of Bowling Springs. And again, that's Cynthia K. Sloan Hambrick. Larry Dale Qualls, 67, of Rutherford, died Saturday, March 26th at Spartanburg Regional Medical Center. Those arrangements incomplete and entrusted to Robert Morgan Funeral and Cremation Services of Bowling Springs. Rodney Rod William Reedy, 69, of Ellenboro, died April 3rd at Cleveland Memorial Hospital. A funeral service is planned for today at 2 o'clock at Mountain View Baptist Church in Rutherford. Mr. Reedy will lie in state 1 hour prior to the service. Burial will follow the service in the church cemetery. The family received friends last night at Crow's Mortuary for Rodney Rod William Reedy. Master Sergeant Stephen Dwayne Brooks, U.S. Air Force retired, age 76, of Union Mills, died Sunday, April 3rd at his home. A service from the graveside with military honors will be at Corinth Baptist Church Cemetery on Saturday, April 9th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. A visitation will be held Saturday afternoon at the Paget and King Mortuary from 1:30 until 2:30 prior to the service. The Paget and King Mortuary and Crematory in charge of the arrangements for Master Sergeant Stephen Dwayne Brooks, U.S. Air Force retired. Benjamin Andy Pyatt, 40, passed away on Wednesday, March 30th at his home. A celebration of life service will be held at 2 o'clock Saturday, April 9th at Henrietta Revival Center, Harris Henrietta Road, Mooresboro. Memorial tributes may be made at rmorganfsl.com for Benjamin Andy Pyatt. Grace Melton Black, 89, died Tuesday, December 7th at Rutherford Regional Health System. A memorial service to celebrate her life will be held 11 o'clock Saturday, April 9th in the First United Methodist Church of Forest City. The Ashbury Sunday School class will be seated as honorary escort. There will be no formal visitation, and the pageant, A King Mortuary and Crematory, is in charge of the arrangements for Grace Melton Black. Phyllis Garrett Hill, age 58, of Forest City, passed away Wednesday, April 6th. Funeral service will be held Saturday, April the 9th at 2 o'clock at West Point Baptist Church in Rutherford. Receiving of family and friends will be from 12 until 2, with service to follow promptly prior to the burial in the church cemetery. Harrelson Funeral and Cremation Service entrusted with those arrangements for Phyllis Garrett Hill. Rhonda Denise Broom Hames, age 62, passed away Thursday, April 7th at her home. Funeral services will be held 2 p.m. Sunday, April the 10th at Restoration Church in Forest City. The family will receive friends from 2 until 4 prior to the service. Again, that's Rhonda Denise Broom Hames. Ali Al Stinson Evans Jr., age 73, passed away Monday at Care Partners in Asheville. The celebration of Al's life will be conducted at 11 a.m. Monday, April the 11th at Round Hill Baptist Church Cemetery. Military honors will be provided by the Bowling Springs, South Carolina American Legion and the Patriot Guard. Wounded Warriors is the family's charity of choice. Again, that's Ali Al Stevenson Evans Jr. Crow's Mortuary is assisting the family. Barbara Jones Harrison, age 76, of Ellenboro, died Tuesday at her home. A private memorial service will be held for her family at the Pageant and King Chapel. The Pageant and King Memorial, Pageant and King Mortuary and Crematory is in charge of those arrangements for Barbara Jones Harrison of Ellenboro. Those are the death announcements we have in house this morning. For complete information on these and others, as they become available to us, be sure to tune in this morning at 11:35, and then again at 5:10 as part of the afternoon report here on WCAB in Rutherford. The Call Around News Report coming up here in just a moment.
24/7 WCAB is serving the foothills of the Carolinas. Learn more about us at www.wcab59.com.
George Scarborough was born in 1859 in Louisiana. His family came to Texas while he was still a child. As a young man, George left home to become a cowboy. At the age of 27, he became the sheriff of Jones County, Texas. Later, he became a deputy U.S. Marshal, making it necessary for him to move to El Paso. George served honorably as a lawman, but one person he wasn't supposed to have arrested was female stage robber Pearl Hart. Pearl was a young, diminutive girl who, with a boyfriend, did a lousy job of robbing a stage. Probably realizing she was a potential public relations nightmare, it's thought that the Tucson, Arizona sheriff allowed her to escape in hopes she would leave the area, which she did until George recognized her, that is. A couple of years earlier, on April 6, 1896, George had an encounter with John Selman, a 57-year-old ex-lawman, 20 years his senior. Scarborough shot Selman. Scarborough was tried for murder and acquitted. George went to work as a New York cattle detective, where on April 6, 1900, 4 years to the date after killing John Selman, George was shot and killed. Although George Scarborough served a distinguished life as a cowboy and lawman, he's remembered for killing John Selman. John Selman is remembered for killing famed outlaw John Wesley Hardin. So, George's fame is for killing the man who killed John Hardin. You've just heard another story from Old West Radio. I'm Dakota Livesay.
Jesse James Railroad Express has added 2 new sandwiches to their menu. Try the all-new crispy chicken sandwich with lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise, or the crispy deluxe with lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, bacon, and cheese. Enjoy a refreshing milkshake or a hand-dipped ice cream cone. Open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. Closed Wednesday and Sunday. Jesse James Railroad Express, 531 Railroad Avenue in Rutherford. Call 828-447-4644. Mondays only, hot dog with mustard, chili, and onions for only $1.24 each. All aboard the Jesse James Railroad Express.
Congratulations to Jesse James Railroad Express, voted 2021 Best of Rutherford County hot dogs and hamburgers 5 years in a row.
Now at 20 minutes after 7, let's get started with our call around the county news to find out what's been going on in the past few hours. And from the Sheriff's Department this morning, Sergeant Brandel is on the radio with us. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, sir. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing great. Just thank goodness it's finally Friday, friend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's on the report from the past few hours?
Past 24 hours, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office has answered 130 calls, processed 14 arrests, and currently have 169 incarcerated. Under our arrest reports, we have a Travis Dale Dupree, 41-year-old white male of Union Mills, was charged with 1 count of failure to appear on a felony, given a $30,000 secure bond. We have a Christopher Eugene Packer, 36-year-old white male of Rutherford, was charged with 1 count of possession with intent to manufacture, sell, or deliver Schedule 2, possession drug paraphernalia, and simple possession Schedule 3. Looks like he was given a $45,000 secure bond on that. We have a Haley Summers Ammons, 29-year-old white female of Forest City, was charged with 1 count of failure to appear on a misdemeanor, given a $1,000 secure bond. We have a Gerald Wayne Noblet, 63-year-old white male of Union Mills, was charged with 2 counts of failure to appear on a misdemeanor and 2 counts of breaking and entering, given a $2,000 secure bond on that. And we have a Alexandro Garcia, 64-year-old male of Bostic, was charged with 1 count of indecent liberties with a child, given a $50,000 secure bond on that. Under our incident reports, we have a April Guffey from Helens Lane in Rutherford reported a B&E to motor vehicle and larceny from a motor vehicle. Looks like approximately maybe $70 in cash was taken. We have a Matthew Murray from Lefford Road, Ellenborough, reported larceny of a motor vehicle. Looks like it's going to be a 2008 BMW, dark blue in color, valued at $5,800. We have a Vicky Gordon from Union Mills, Painters Gap Road, Union Mills, reported a breaking and entering and larceny. Looks like a brown in color pool stick was taken in that incident. Also, that's where Mr. Gerald Noblet was arrested and charged with breaking and entering. We also have a Leah Scram from Union Mills, or Painters Gap Road in Union Mills, also reported a B&E. Taken there was 2 watches and a lighter and a pocket knife. And Mr. Noblet was also charged with that B&E. And that's all we have this morning.
Sergeant Brundle, thank you very much for that report, and you be safe out there this weekend.
Yes, sir. You take care. Thank
you.
you.
Now. Bye-bye. And we'll check with 911 Communications Center, see what calls they've received right after this.
Your car's best friend can be RS Speedy Lube Service Center. That's because RS Speedy Lube Service Center and Car Wash can keep your car or truck running clean with a regular oil change. They check the fluids and vacuum out the car and have you on your way in no time. Go next door for a radiator or transmission flush, brakes, exhaust, CV joints, and service for big trucks and campers also available. Pull next door to the RS Speedy Automatic Car Wash and make your car happy with a clean, all under and all over car wash. It's all at RS Service Center and Car Wash on Railroad Avenue in Rutherford-Ton.
And Amanda is on the radio now with a report from 911 Communications Center. Amanda, you doing okay this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. What's on the report?
In the past 24 hours, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office 911 Communications Center has processed 452 911 calls and administrative calls, which consisted of 26 for the emergency medical services, 130 for the Sheriff's Office, 43 for Forest City, 2 for Lake Lure, 31 for Rutherfordton, and 30 for Spindale. And Sandy Mush had a structure fire assisted by Cliffside, SDO, and Ellenboro. And that is all.
Thank you very much. You have a great weekend.
You too.
Hey, folks, Farmer's Friend Feed, Seed, and Supply is an amazing store. I can say that because they have what you need. From pet supplies to fire and ant killer to horse-quality Timothy alfalfa hay, $14 per bale. Attention carp fishermen, they have C&J flavoring, only $8 per bottle. And they have oats for sale. Refill your propane tanks at the lowest price. Fully stocked with all your deer supplies and a great selection of farm implements. Need mulch? $12 per scoop. We could call it a superstore. Farmer's Friend Feed, Seed, and Supply, 188 Whiteside Road in Rutherfordton.
Shiloh, Danieltown, Oakland Community is up next. And Ruby Taylor, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right.
Good. What's on the report over there?
Well, they assisted Sandy Mush or Cliffside Boy on a fire. And on my birthday calendar today, I've got Faye Marr and Kendra Walker having birthdays. Mr. and Ms. Robert Bailey, Mr. and Ms. Rick Green, and Mr. and Ms. Jesse James is having anniversaries today. Tomorrow, Tricia Hines and Thomas Wynn's having birthday tomorrow. Hope he has a nice day. Then Sunday, Mike Grant, Josh Hollyfield, Jessica Huntley, Jessica Tony, and Wanda Wynn having birthdays, and Mr. and Miss Mike Street. Mike Grant is having an anniversary. Hope all these people have a nice day. And signs are in the breast today. They're going to the heart tomorrow and Sunday. And Jim, that's all I got.
Thanks, Ruby. I hope you have a great weekend.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Well, the Braves will be up against the Reds again tonight. They started last night with the first game of the season. They lost to the Reds 6-3. And the game tonight will be a little bit earlier. 6:05 is the airtime. 7:15 first pitch. We'll have that action for you right here on the most sports for the foothills, WCAB Rutherfordton.
Cheryl, have you been to the Homeworks Design Center inside Henson Building Materials in Forest City?
Oh, yes! Shana, David, and William are incredible at designing kitchen and bath cabinetry for my new she shed.
Your what?
And they have a full line of windows and doors on display in their 5,000 square foot showroom. And they'll install any ones you pick out for me.
Oh, you're too good to me.
I know! With selling and installing, it's basically one-stop shopping.
Henson Building Materials, 177 Duke Street, Forest City.
Building starts here.
Now it's 7:27 on this Friday morning. Let's head up toward the Fairfield Mountains Fire District and talk with Gary Wilson. Gary, how you doing?
Doing good, Jim. How you doing? You ready for Easter?
Man, it's close, isn't it? Dogwood trees are blooming right now. It's looking good out there.
Yeah, it is. It's starting to look like spring. Ain't gonna feel like it for the next couple of nights.
Oh, isn't that some kind of cold snap?
They're coming in here pretty chilly tonight and tomorrow night, sound like.
Are you seeing any bear up there yet? Any bear roaming around?
Not lately.
Yeah.
No, not lately.
Maybe they're waiting for this cold snap to be over too.
Warmer weather we've had, I'd say they'd probably be stirring around here pretty quickly.
I had a story earlier from Asheville, or News 13, I believe it was. Maybe the bear had got broken into somebody's car out front of their house and tore it up inside and broke a window out before it ever escaped. And the car was just about totally demolished from the inside because the bear had gotten in the car. Then couldn't get out.
We had the same thing happen up there in one of the timeshare units about 5 years ago. They'd been out grocery shopping, come in, took their groceries, and they left the window down in the car. And the bear smelled where the food had been, I guess. And he crawled in the back seat of the car. And the gentleman happened to think he forgot to roll the window back up, so he said, I'll go out and close my window. And so he walks out the door, and he come back in the house real quick.
Yes, I bet he did.
That bear tore his back seat all to pieces. It just destroyed that car inside almost. There's something else. They smell food. They're going to look for it.
Yeah.
But we're quiet over here overnight. No fire calls or anything. Sitting about 38 degrees this morning, and a few clouds out there. Maybe a sprinkle of rain coming in here this afternoon, and chillier tonight. So they stay warm and bundle up. It'll only last for a couple of days. Maybe we'll be back in the 70s next week, hopefully. And that's about all we got up here, Jim.
Gary, thank you very much for being there for us, and keep your eye on things. We'll talk to you again next time.
All right, have a good one.
There you are. Gary Wilson reporting for us from Fairfield Mountains Fire District and also Bills Creek.
Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized for you and your family? Will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situation change? Hi, I'm Andrew Tisdale, your local Edward Jones financial advisor. When we work together, we focus what's important to you. We create a personalized strategy backed by our advice, our tools, and resources to help you reach your goals. And we partner together to help your strategy stay on track no matter what happens. Contact me at any time at 828-287-9197. We'll sit down, talk, and we're going to make a strategy that's right for you.
Let's see what's been happening over in the Bostic area now. The Bostic Fire District responsibility, and Vern Upton is on the phone to give us that update. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm good as I can be, I guess, on a Friday.
That's right. It's Friday, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Love it.
You expecting a big weekend?
I am looking forward to a good weekend. I'm anticipating a pretty good weekend.
Well, good. Well, over here in Bostic this morning we have 42 degrees. Fire department had no calls, but we want to tell them that we do appreciate all the time they do put in at the fire department and going out on all these calls. Washburn's Outreach is giving out food from 9 to 12:30 today. And don't forget to go by Whistle Stop Bakery there on Main Street and get your bakery items for the weekend. And everyone have a wonderful day and a good weekend.
You too, DeVern. Have a good one now, and be careful over there, and I'll see you.
Okay, thanks.
Bye. Let me brag on Hutchins Pest Control a minute. Don't let the pest bug you when Hutchins Pest Control is as close as a phone call. Honest, dependable, professional, and on-time service may be the reason they keep getting voted best pest control. If you have a pest problem, call this family-run business at 287-5171. Licensed in North and South Carolina and fully insured and bonded. Get a free estimate when you call Hutchins Pest Control and be sure the job is done right. That's Hutchins Pest Control. Call them today at 287-5171 and they'll be right there. I want to give a big shout-out to the good listeners over in the Mill Spring area of Polk County. Regular listeners over there, we'll say good morning to you, and thank you for depending on WCAB for your news, weather, and sports and other information. Thank you, Mill Spring. Now let's check in with Bob Hodge over in the Hudlow Fire District. Mr. Bob Hodge, how you feeling this morning?
We're doing just fine on this here cool Friday morning up here with 39 degrees with that sun coming up bright. Looks like we're going to have a nice day, but it's going to be a little cool.
We may have to dig out our hand muffins, our hand gloves, and put some mittens on or something.
Well, yeah, I guess you go out early this morning, it might feel good. But maybe this is our Easter cold spell. Maybe it'd be pretty next weekend for Easter there. So.
Well, we have a cold snap right about Easter, don't we?
That's right. So we can get out and hunt them Easter eggs there.
Yeah, with little icicles hanging down from our nose.
Well, you want to wear them pretty outfits, for Easter there. You don't want to bundle up and have to wear a coat there, so maybe it would be nice there for next weekend.
I hope so.
But, Jim, with the fire department, it's been quiet. We ain't one medical call overnight. And that's about it with the fire department. Other than that, things are going along real good up here this morning. Maybe we'll have a quiet weekend. And, Jim, I hope you have a good weekend.
Bob, thank you. You and Aberdeen have a good one, too, and do some things you've been wanting to do for a while. Go out and do some things and have fun.
Well, you too now.
Well, I'll see you now. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Mr. Bob Hodge, been with us a long time. We appreciate him, and his reporting from the Hudlow Fire District is 7:34. And right now we have 42 degrees.
How hot is the new Scorching Hot 7 Scratch-Off from the North Carolina Education Lottery? Well, with a top prize of $700,000 and a bonus game on the back, people everywhere are hot to trot, in hot pursuit, and hot on the trail of these little hotcakes. So get out of your hot tub, put on your hot pants, and hot rod on over to Strike While the Iron is Hot and pick up the new Scorching Hot 7 Scratch-Offs before someone else starts their hot streak and you find yourself left out in the cold. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 3.65. Problem gambling. Helpline 877-718-5543.
Cherry Mountain Fire District, we're coming over to see you now. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning, Jim.
How you feeling?
Doing good. Hope you are.
I am doing well, thank you.
Well, good. It's right pretty out there this morning, but I guess we're going to get a little more rain today.
It's in the forecast a little bit and a whole lot of wind today.
Don't like that wind. But anyway, we take what comes. Well, let's see, I have on First Broad's calendar today, anniversary for Butch and Catherine Cook, and nothing on the other calendars for today. So not too many celebrating, but we hope anybody's having a birthday or anniversary will have a real good day on their special day. In my announcements, First Broad Church will be having an Easter egg hunt tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., and everyone's invited. And their sunrise service at First Broad will be 7 a.m., and then they'll have breakfast and Sunday school and worship service at 10:30. So they're going to have a full morning over there. And let's see, Fairview's Easter sunrise service is at 6:30, and they'll also be having a breakfast after the service. Coming up on Monday, April the 11th, at the Golden Valley Community Clubhouse will be a blood drive. So if you can give blood, come on out for that. That's 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And all the donors will receive a $20 e-gift card, a tumbler with straw, and a wellness checkup. So come out if you can give blood, because it's always needed. Always needed. And so far, that's the only announcement I have, Jim. It's just quiet and calm over here, looking for a good day and a good weekend, and I hope you and Faye will have one.
Thank you. Enjoy it, and I will see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. That's Cherry Mountain Fire District checking in. You know how people all the time tell me how frustrating it gets to go through the hassle of their doctor's appointments and having to wait for a long time to get to see the doctor, and they may cancel out at the last minute and go into the process of all the insurance paperwork, and they may approve it, they may not. Well, imagine quality health care, primary health care, and urgent care services for you without all that hassle. It's available to you and your family from Brock Family Care. Family medicine the way it ought to be. No insurance to deal with, general primary medical care, chronic disease prevention and management, urgent care and medication management, and so much more. Brock Family Care is a membership-based model where patients pay their primary care provider directly through monthly or annual fees rather than paying through an insurance provider. And those fees are going to surprise you how low they can be. Not accepting any forms of health insurance cuts out the hassles and allows for more personalized and affordable health care. It may be time to move into a health plan like this one for your family or your business. Call to check it out. Call today for more information. Here's the number, 828-382-7782, or you can go to the website and learn more about this great service, brockfamilycare.com. It's worth getting over the hassles of all that other stuff and get well. All right, we're heading up toward Shingle Hollow, North Carolina. Tina White, how you doing?
I'm doing fine this morning, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing great. Ready for the weekend?
Yes, ready for the weekend. It is 40 degrees up here in Shingle Hollow this morning. The sun is shining, and it's going to be a great Friday. Friday, as Nevaeh said.
Friday.
Yes, and of course, it's going to be a very busy weekend up here in Shingle Hollow this weekend. White House Community Clubhouse has got a Easter egg hunt tomorrow morning, 10 to 12. Everyone is invited to come out and hunt some Easter eggs and visit with the Easter Bunny and take some pictures. And then the Easter Bunny's going to scoot on over to Pleasant Grove Baptist Church, and they are having a community-wide Easter egg hunt from 1 to 3 tomorrow, and there will be an egg dyeing station. And like I said, the Easter Bunny's going to be there, and they'll have snacks. So just come on over to Pleasant Grove for that and bring your children. Then tomorrow evening, everyone invited. We encourage everybody to come out to a free supper. It is a wild game supper at Piney Knob Baptist Church. There will be lots of door prizes. There will also be chicken and pork, and side dishes and desserts. 5:30 is what time they will start serving. So come on out to Piney Knob Baptist Church tomorrow evening. Tomorrow evening for that. And then Sunday, the 10th, there will be an Easter drama at 6 p.m. at Piney Knob Baptist Church, and everyone come out to that too. So we've just got lots going on up here. And the fire department was all quiet. Thank God for that. Thank Him for His grace and mercy over us. And we plan on having a good, safe weekend.
Good, Tina. I hope you do. You and your family enjoy yourself, and I will check back in with you next time.
Okay. Have a very blessed day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. It's 7:40. Friday Morning Report continues in just a moment.
It can be a tough call when it comes time to provide a daycare service for an aging parent or loved one. You can always depend on Rutherford Life Services for a safe facility that offers medical monitoring, nutritional meals, fun activities, and is a loving environment. Rutherford Life is licensed by the State of North Carolina Division of Aging. They will be glad to answer any questions you may have. Call them at 288-1697. Rutherford Life Services offers a trained staff of professionals who you can entrust your loved one to. Rutherford Life Services is located at 230 Fairground Road in Spindale.
You know, nothing strikes fear in the hearts of people more than receiving an IRS audit letter in the mail. Audits take much time away from your business and family, requiring you to gather mounds of records, and can become overwhelming unless you have someone you can depend on to take care of that for you. That's why we can recommend IE Accounting and Tax Service. Chris and his team of professionals are in the business to help. Even if you depended on someone else to prepare your taxes, IE Accounting and Tax Service will be glad to assist you or your company. Don't hesitate to call. As a small business owner, you have more important things to do than keep your own books. Why not let IE Accounting and Tax Service take care of that for you, so you can get back to the job of running your business? Consider their payroll solutions for your business, cash flow management, litigation support, and forensic investigation. Why not give them a call and see what they can do for your business? Here's that phone number, 828-395-1777. They're at 211 West Main Street, Spindale. Again, that's 395-1777, and it's spelled ARYEE. Next Saturday, not tomorrow, but next Saturday on the 16th, we will be broadcasting live from NC Tractor here on Railroad Avenue for their Customer Appreciation Day. Gilbert Carmona will be doing his show live from there during the 8 o'clock hour, and it will continue after that with live broadcasts and a lot of great prizes to give away and good things to happen over there, some good food, and Phil Sheehan will make you feel welcome. So mark that on your calendar. You'll hear more about it next week, but that'll be the 16th. All right, now we're heading up toward Union Mills and see if we can get a calorie report from Brenda. Good morning. How are you? Good morning, Brenda. How are you?
Good morning, Jim Bishop. How are you on this fabulous Friday morning?
I am just feeling mighty fine.
Feeling mighty fine. It sounds good to me. Well, let's see. I've got 36 degrees on the front porch. That is a wintertime temperature.
Yeah, you're the coldest spot here this morning, I believe.
It's cold. I had to build a fire.
Yeah, I bet.
And I have no birthdays or no anniversaries, and in ways of announcements, I'm trying to find a home for a bull mastiff. He's 2 years old. He's real friendly. And he weighs about 160 pounds.
Whoa.
That's all right. His owner lives by himself, and he works in Charlotte, and he's not there a lot to take care of him like he should, and he has to leave him in the house or tie him outside, and that's not good for him. And so if you think you would like this dog, he's 2 years old, he's real friendly, and the number to call is 289-3503. And you can have the dog, but you have to be good to him. We don't want him going to a home where he's going to be mistreated.
They make nice pets.
Yeah. He's just a big old baby.
Yeah.
If I didn't have 3 dogs already, I'd take him. I'd take him in a heartbeat. But I got 3 dogs. I don't need another one.
Do people just need to call you if they're interested?
They can call me, or they can call 289-3503. My number's 287-8696.
Well, that's a doggone good report.
And then Saturday, April the 30th, springtime in the mills, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And this will be around the walking trail area behind the main building, 60-plus vendors. No admission for shoppers. Tickets available for purchase for raffle prizes. Shop with small businesses, support local vendors. And then we got a breakfast Saturday the night at the Gilkey Community Center, 7 to 10 a.m., and the cost is adults $7, kids 6 to 12, $3, 5 and under free. And so far, that's all I know of going on.
Do you remember when you were 5 and under?
Yeah, I can remember when I was 5.
Do you?
Yeah, I had to have my tonsils took out, and I was at the hospital, and the beds were way high off of the floor, and somebody had got me a little rubber doll, and I dropped it on the floor, and I tried to get it, and I failed, and I couldn't get back in the bed.
Oh, me.
Yeah, I remember being 5 years old. So, do you remember being 5?
I don't think I do. I don't remember any circumstance that would have related me to being 5. I may have, but my son declares he remembers things when he was 3 years old.
Well, that's possible. I remember we moved from up on Spindale Street down to the bottom of Spindale Street when I was either 3 or 4, and I remember that.
Yeah. Our minds are powerful instruments if we don't abuse them with clutter.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right.
Listen, I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
You too, and I hope I find a home for this dog.
I hope so, too.
Okay, catch you later.
All right, bye. And we'll get to our next phone call over to Ellensboro in just a moment.
Thinking about the departure of a loved one through death is a subject we don't like to talk about. However, pre-planning or prepaying for a funeral is a consideration and responsible thing to do. With so many options available today, it's important to speak with someone you can trust and someone who can help you find a balance between the emotional, spiritual, and financial needs of your loved ones. Crow's Mortuary and Crematory is recognized as one of the best family-run funeral homes. It's a family tradition, and they know how to care for your family. Any questions you might have, they will be happy to answer. Call Crow's Mortuary and Cremation Services at 286-2304.
747, and now we're going over to Ellensboro, Mr. Luther Gilligan's hometown, and find out what's going on. Good morning, Luther.
Good morning. Quiet down here this morning. Everybody just get their biscuit, try and get this last day of this weekend.
Listen, I got a question somebody wanted me to ask you. I had a call this morning from a dear sweet lady, and she's wondering why over on the 74 side of Oak Road, Church Road, the water is red, and it looks like it's not fit to drink, and she's wondering what's causing that. Do you have any idea?
Well, it's probably from that leak they had up there yesterday. They run too much. They couldn't get it cut off. Water run too much, stirred up the mud in the bottom.
Oh, that sounds reasonable. Now, how long will it take that to clear out?
It'll be gone by the day, probably.
Yeah. So right now the water's not drinkable. They just need to.
Oh yeah, water's drinkable. There's enough chlorine in that water to turn rat white.
Well, she was concerned about that and said the toilet flush made it sound like a bunch of monsters in there. So she was just curious.
Yeah.
Wanted me to ask you.
It's okay.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to wash my white sheets with it though.
Yeah, really. Well,
Man, that'd be too good. Go ahead and make stuff takes that out of the clothes.
What's that now?
Yeah, find it. They make that stuff for you. Get the mud and rust in your clothes and take it out.
Yeah.
But it'll clear up. Now, I have nothing to do with that anymore.
Yeah, I know. But she knew you knew everything. She knew you were the man with all the answers.
Yeah, it'll work. It's working some way on up somewhere. They flush it out. But I guess they got it fixed. I didn't hear any more back from them. But nothing going on there. Well, see, the fire department, they had 4 calls. Yesterday, they had 2 medical calls. Went down to Sister Cleveland County on one. Then went down to Sister Sandy Mush far over on Hammock Road. Other than that, they're quiet as well, but Nothing going on, sir. You have a great day up there. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you Monday.
Thanks, Luther. Appreciate you. See you next time.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye. Well, it's time for birthdays and anniversaries to be called in to us. And at 287-3356, we'd like to celebrate. This is the 8th day of April, by the way, April the 8th, 2022. And if you're celebrating a birthday or know someone who is, call us now and give Todd a ring-a-ding out there, and we'll celebrate your birthday. 287-3356.
Farm Bureau Insurance doesn't hire celebrities to push auto coverage. We think people might like to make decisions based on service and savings, not just because that guy from that show says it's a good idea. Instead of faces you know from your TV, we offer faces you know from your neighborhood, because we're headquartered in North Carolina with local agents right in your town. That's really the only thing we want to be famous for. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, helping you is what we do best.
In Rutherford County, please call 287-2428.
North Carolina Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Insurance of North Carolina, Inc., Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
Nobody gets a better deal than the customers at Sisk Family Ford. They have a proven record of the best deals. Sisk Family Ford, Rutherford County's only locally owned new car dealer, has recently been recognized as the #1 Ford dealer in customer satisfaction in the Southeast. That speaks well of their commitment to serve their customers well. Look for all the new design 2021 F-150 at Rutherford County's only locally owned new car dealership. That's Sisk Family Ford, Oak Street, Forest City. Well, thank you very much, Jim. Hey, listen, are you a breakfast eater? Well, if you are, you love a good breakfast. They go by Granny B's this morning. They start breakfast as early as 6:30, goes to 11. If you're not a big breakfast eater, just want a cup of coffee, maybe a sweet, delicious daylight donut, go by Granny B's. They got that as well for you. A good place to have breakfast. You could take it with you to work or eat it inside. Either one, they've got a variety. They have pancakes. They also do French toast or omelets. They'll do an omelet for you, scramble you some eggs. It's a great place for breakfast. Granny B's there in Spindale. Now also, when you need your clothes looking good and freshened up, take them to Folks Cleaners. They do such a professional job on shirts and pants and uniforms and work clothes, and they will treat you right. Good people. Drop them off over there. You don't even have to get out of your car. Just drive up to the side door there and hand them to them, and you pick them back up whenever they get them ready. Folks Cleaners at the Rockwood Plaza, Forest City.
Happy birthday.
Want to wish a happy anniversary to Mr. and Mrs. Butch Cook up in Golden Valley this morning. Other birthdays today include 1918 Betty Ford. She was a United States First Lady. She was born in 1918, died in 2011. 1974, Chris Kyle? Chris Kyle was a sniper. He died in 2013. 1960, John Snyder was born. Some of the events on today happened in 1766. The first fire escape was patented. 1869, American Museum of Natural History opened in New York City. 1879, milk sold in bottles for the first time ever. 1970, they've gone back to cartons now. They don't do them in bottles anymore, do they? 1974, Hank Aaron hit 715th home run, breaking Babe Ruth's record. What a day that was. This is National All Is Ours Day and National Zoo Lovers Day. So that's now you're up to date on this date in history here on WCAB. Keys to Confident Living coming up in just a moment. And we'll take it up memory lane with some classic oldies. Stand by. Linda Sheehan of Rutherford is also having a birthday today.
William Barker, in the book A Savior for All Seasons, reports on the visit in the late 1800s of a bishop to a Midwestern religious college. During the course of his visit, the bishop stayed in the home of the college president. The bishop was commenting that the millennium described in the Bible must surely be near, since he could not imagine much else that could be discovered or invented. The college president strongly disagreed. The bishop challenged the president to name just one significant discovery that they could anticipate. The president indicated that he thought within 50 years someone would discover a way to fly. The bishop laughed. Such a thought was preposterous. After all, he responded, only angels are intended to fly. However, Bishop Wright was proved wrong when his two sons Orville and Wilbur made their famous flight at Kitty Hawk. Sometimes we stick our heads in the proverbial sand and lose sight of new possibilities. We are so tied to the tried and the true that we fail to think creatively. It is like we are trapped in a box and can't get beyond the four walls. God wants us to think the impossible. The Bible describes God in one place as being able to call those things that are not as though they were. In other words, there may appear to be no hope, but if God says it's so, it will happen. Ask God to help you move out of restrictive thinking to see unlimited possibilities. This is Bill Hostler with today's key to confident living.
Stay in touch with your tax dollars. Listen to the Commish Report
To the thousands, call the WCAB Sales Department today at 287-3356.
From ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. Officials in Ukraine say at least 30 people were killed and dozens were hurt when a train station packed with civilians was struck by a rocket in the eastern part of the country. The aftermath of the strike, Russia denies any responsibility, but ABC's James Longman in Kyiv says Russia has also been hit with more sanctions.
Russia has been voted off the United Nations Human Rights Council, and now the European Union has approved a fifth round of sanctions, freezing the assets of several Russian banks, banning coal imports, and banning access to EU ports for ships flying the Russian flag.
Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson will speak today at the White House, one day after she was confirmed by the Senate to be the first black woman on the Supreme Court. ABC legal contributor Kate Shaw explains how she will impact the High Court.
Her addition to the court is not going to change the bottom line math of the court. It's still going to be a 6-3 conservative court. Justice Jackson will likely vote in the same way Justice Breyer would have voted in most cases. And that said, I do think she will fundamentally change the institution.
Citing the fact she's the first former public defender confirmed to the court. Her COVID-19 concerns in Washington, D.C. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock among the recent high-profile people to test positive. ABC's Mary Bruce says another is a communications aide to Vice President Harris.
Kamala Harris is now considered a close contact, and that has raised some questions about why she presided over that vote yesterday without a mask, whether she was following the CDC guidelines there. But her office tells us that it was all okayed by her doctor because she was keeping a bit of distance and that she did put that mask back on right after the vote.
Israel's prime minister calls a shooting in Tel Aviv Thursday an act of terrorism. 2 people were killed, 10 others were hurt. The attacker, a Palestinian, was killed in a gunfight with police. Tiger Woods tied for 10th after the first round of the Masters, his first tournament, as he was seriously hurt in a car accident last February. You're listening to ABC News.
Do you know what people see when they Google you? Search engines don't always get it right. And when they're wrong, it's your reputation on the line. So what do you do when you don't agree with your search results? Call Reputation Defender at 800-401-6681. Reputation Defender is one of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. We have over a decade of experience in fixing people's search results, and we can help you too. Using cutting-edge approaches, Reputation Defender pushes unflattering information down to lower pages of your search results, where few people ever look. We also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, letting you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. You owe it to yourself to take control with Reputation Defender. Visit www.reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 for free advice on your situation. That's 800-401-6681.
It's back to work today for the Michigan jury deliberating the case of the 4 men accused of plotting to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. One note yesterday saw the jury asking to, quote, see the pennies. Prosecutors say the suspects taped pennies to a homemade bomb as they trained for the alleged kidnapping. A Georgia mom turned to tech to help find her 9-year-old son after her car was stolen with her boy inside. More from ABC's Mona Kosar Abdi.
Body camera video shows police officers in Atlanta chasing down a man accused of carjacking a vehicle with a 9-year-old boy still inside. The boy's mother said she pulled into a parking lot, leaving her keys and her son inside. The suspect then jumped in and drove off. But the boy's mother was able to watch their every move because she was tracking her son's smartphone, equipped with the Find My iPhone GPS feature. Police quickly caught up with the car, arresting the suspect and rescuing her son.
After Will Smith's slap of Chris Rock at the Oscars, the Academy's Board of Governors is set to discuss what steps it may take next, says ABC's Chris Connolly.
Later today, the Academy Board of Governors set to convene via Zoom to determine possible steps to take against Will Smith. The Academy could prevent Will Smith from giving out the Best Actress Oscar at the next Oscars ceremony, as Best Actor typically does.
Wine prices are on the rise. This time, wine lovers can blame the glass. Wine bottle prices up lately by as much as 20%. This is ABC News.
Millions of people use Zoom Phone, the innovative and feature-rich cloud phone system for businesses of any size. Zoom Phone is simple to use, whether you're on a mobile device, desktop, laptop, or desk phone. And because every call is important to your business, Zoom Phone was built with reliability in mind, using geographic redundancy to keep your communications online. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Visit zoom.com/phone system. Zoom. how the world connects.
Brian Clark, ABC News.
Hello and happy Friday. For the day ahead, we'll see a mostly sunny to partly cloudy afternoon. Some stray showers are possible, though, as a front moves east. Our highs today will be staying in the 60s, windy at times as well through the day. For tonight, we'll see a mostly clear sky. Chilly nights ahead will be starting off in the upper 30s to lower 40s Saturday morning. Partly to mostly cloudy skies Saturday afternoon, with highs in the mid to upper 50s to around 60 just towards the south. More sunshine for Sunday. I'm meteorologist Zach Malak in the Weather Center.
Thank you very much, Zach Malak. It's 5 minutes past 8 o'clock Friday morning, and it is a beautiful, great getting up morning here in the foothills. It's going to be another fine day in the neighborhood. We're 41 right now, warming up nicely to, 42 right now, warming up nicely to about 55, but we have a 20% chance of an afternoon shower. Wind will be gusting to about 30 miles per hour, so that makes it a little bit cooler than we might like for a weekend like this, but we have to grin and bear because this too will pass. Got some news from here and there coming up in just a moment.
Hi, my name is Colby Smith, a Navy veteran born and raised in Rutherford County. I first met Theo at the Republican headquarters where he and I worked together. Theo and I quickly became friends, and I knew he had a servant's heart. After retiring from the Highway Patrol, Theo served as a federal air marshal. Theo understands our county's needs and has a plan to fix it. Theo's leadership and straightforward approach is exactly what Rutherford County needs in a sheriff. Remember, experience matters. Vote for Theo May 17th.
Paid for by Steve Theodoropoulos, Republican for sheriff.
Some of the news from here and there this morning, a story I related to you earlier, but we'll give it more detail on it right now. In the early morning hours of April the 4th, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office Patrol Division responded to the area of Old Gilbertown Road, Rutherfordton, in reference to suspicious subjects in the area. While patrolling the vicinity, a deputy spotted a Dodge truck driving without any lights on. The deputy turned around on the truck and found it had flipped over into a ditch upside down. The occupants were helped out of the vehicle, and aid was provided to those in need. Deputies learned that the truck had just been stolen from a residence on Old Gilbertown Road. The occupants were Joel Ethan Stone, age 20, and two juveniles, ages 14 and 16. A firearm was also located during the search of the Dodge truck. Deputies learned that earlier that same night, Joel Stone and the juveniles were involved in another larceny of a motor vehicle, where the victims heard two gunshots come from his vehicle as he was trying to stop the suspects from stealing it. This occurred on Sterling Street in Spindale prior to the larceny of the Dodge truck. The Rutherford County Criminal Investigation Division responded to assist. During the course of the investigation, the juveniles were linked to cases dating back to February 21st, 2022 that had been reported to Rutherfordton Police Department, Spindale Police Department, and the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. As a result, deputies with the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office made contact with the Rutherfordton Police Department, Spindale Police Department, and Department of Juvenile Justice. In partnership with the Rutherfordton Police Department, Spindale Police Department, and Department of Juvenile Justice, cases were solved from Old Gilbertown Road, Whiteside Road, Old Ballpark Road, Hunting Drive, Railroad Avenue, Rutherford Regional Hospital, South Ridgecrest Avenue, Freeman Street, Maple Street, and Ellington Street. From the solving of these numerous cases, 2 adults and 2 juveniles have been charged with multiple criminal acts. Joel Ethan Stone, a 20-year-old male, has been charged with 2 counts of larceny of a motor vehicle, 3 counts of entering a motor vehicle, 2 counts of misdemeanor larceny and assault with a deadly weapon. Abigail Faith Buckner, 19-year-old female, was charged with 2 counts of breaking and entering a motor vehicle and misdemeanor larceny. A 16-year-old juvenile has been charged with 27 counts of breaking and entering a motor vehicle, 5 counts of larceny of a motor vehicle, and 10 counts of misdemeanor larceny, felony larceny, and 2 counts of injury to personal property. A 14-year-old juvenile has been charged with 22 counts of breaking and entering a motor vehicle, 5 counts of larceny of motor vehicle, and 10 counts of misdemeanor larceny, felony larceny charges, and 2 counts of injury to personal property. They also resulted in the recovery of 3 stolen firearms. Stone and Buckner are in custody at the Rutherford County Slammer, and both juveniles in the secured custody of the Department of Juvenile Justice. Now, what was a 14-year-old doing riding around with somebody in the 20s? Anyway, all right. Well, Reaching Roku bipartisan community forum was held last night at Isothermal Community College Library Auditorium. Reports are that it was well attended, standing room only, and they had an introduction of the candidates that were there: Clerk of Court, District Judge, the School Board of Education, Rutherford County Commissioners, Rutherford County Sheriff, and District Attorney. And questions were posed to each of the candidates in time, delivered to them by the spokesperson of that particular division, and community questions at the end. And it was well attended and well planned out and well run, according to reports that I'm getting. So good for those who organized it, good for those who participated, and good for those of you who went to learn more about your candidates. Speaking of that, our next interview is coming up on Tuesday morning. That'll be Tuesday the 12th. And Patsy Kirkland, running for Clerk of Court, will be my guest in the Blue Room at 8:30 on that day. Other news from here and there: a Bostic man has been arrested for taking indecent liberties with a child, according to a story in the Daily Courier. Alessandro Garcia, 63, was arrested Wednesday, April 6th, after he was indicted by a grand jury. The alleged incidents, too, occurred on November 21st, 2021. Authorities recalled after the child told her parents what had happened, according to Detective Julie Green of the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. Garcia was jailed under a $50,000 secured bond, the maximum amount for the charge. He has since posted bail, as he has been released. Well, the folks up in Golden Valley are a little bit unhappy. The North Carolina Department of Transportation has plans to create a four-way stop at the intersection of Bostic Sunshine Highway and NC Highway 226. A group of Golden Valley citizens and the Rutherford County Commissioners are opposed to the plan and hope NCDOT will reconsider that. The purpose of the four-way stop is unknown. While they think that's a healthy thing to do, when Highway 226 runs straight all the way into Shelby, they got a stop sign there coming up Bostic Sunshine Highway. We have to stop anyway. So why put a four-way stop there? I don't know. Over the past several weeks, citizens from Golden Valley put together a petition expressing opposition to the plan. The petition has been submitted to NCDOT in Asheville, and officials there are awaiting input from the Rutherford County government. Commissioners discussed the matter at their meeting Monday, April 4th, and agreed to submit a letter to NCDOT asking officials to consider options other than a four-way stop. Complaints about the plan mostly relate to the hill on NC 226. Commissioner Mike Benfield made the motion endorsing the petition and directing Commissioner Chairman Brian King to submit a letter stating the board's opposition to a four-way stop. Benfield said, "My opinion is that a four-way stop may create more danger than good." He's a former highway patrolman. He said, "I appreciate the people of the Golden Valley community taking the initiative to put together the petition, and I agree that a four-way stop is a bad idea at that intersection." Benfield says lowering the speed limit along that section of NC 226 is an option that could be considered. He said, "I think it would be helpful if traffic slowed down through there just a bit." Commissioner Alan Toney, who seconded the motion, lives near Golden Valley in the Sunshine community. He said, "I travel along that road quite often. You have the hill as well as the curve. I think having a four-way stop there is not the best option." The commissioners said the petition and their letter to NCDOT may or may not cause a change in plans, but at least the public has had an input in that decision. And something else, I don't understand these loops, these wrap-around loops. I don't understand the purpose of those, what purpose they serve. One of them in Polk County is a little bit confusing, I think. Of course, I guess if you're there long enough and drive it enough, you get used to it. But those of us who are not there that often, it's a little bit confusing as traffic comes from all directions, and you got a loop you got to go around. I don't understand all that, but maybe that's why I'm not with DOT. All right, a little bit more on the hoax to the hoax over to school. Threats to students and personnel at East Rutherford High School posted on social media Wednesday afternoon led to fear, anxiety, and a quick investigation by local law enforcement and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, according to Scott Carpenter's report in the Courier. Authorities discovered the individual who made the threats and determined it to be a hoax. Though the investigation continued, Rutherford County Sheriff Chris Francis said Thursday morning that he is extremely confident that it was a hoax. Francis said incidents of threats to schools are not common in Rutherford County. No charges have been filed in this case yet, as the investigation remains open. Well, a Buncombe County family woke up to an unusual sight, a mama bear breaking through the front window of their SUV. About midnight, neighbors of Ashley McGowan noticed a honking vehicle. Only hours later, they learned it was a bear stuck inside their vehicle. Shortly after 6:30 a.m., McGowan noticed her hazard lights were on when she let her dog out to use the restroom. It was then she learned a large animal had made its way into the SUV. My dog started barking as if something was out in the yard, she said. McGowan and her husband went outside to see what had spooked the dogs and found a large black bear inside their vehicle. McGowan filmed as the bear crawled through a hole in the window and climbed on top of the car and then ran off. Seth McGowan, 10-year-old son, said, I didn't know a bear could do that much damage to a car. Said Rod Tracy, a friend of 10-year-old Seth McGowan. It's just surprised me because that doesn't happen every day. It remains a mystery as to how the bear got into the SUV. McGowan believes she might have left the car door unlocked and the bear let himself in the vehicle. High winds from Wednesday night storm could have forced the door shut. Once the bear and two cubs ran off, McGowan went out to survey the damage and focused the door frame and found the door frame was bent and panels, dashboard, and seat were all damaged. Bears are in our yard frequently, but they stay to themselves, she said, but this time they didn't. Bears everywhere. 16 minutes after the hour, the Sheriff's Report with Sergeant Brandel coming up here in just a few moments. Let me introduce you to Brock Family Care, a direct primary care practice that takes care of the patients and not the insurance company. Providing flat rate pricing and not accepting any forms of health insurance allows for more personalized and affordable health care. Ann Brock has over 42 years of health care experience and 22 years as a nurse practitioner. She and her staff are dedicated to providing health care that is patient-centered and not insurance company dictated. They give the patient the time and the attention they need. What are your medical needs? Bring them to Brock Family Care and see the difference. Ann also offers telehealth appointments. The professional staff are dedicated and will take the time to find out how they can help you. To learn more about this wonderful medical service, go to the website at www.brockfamilycare.com. That's Brock Family Care, 289 Shallow Road, Forest City.
At Smith Drugs of Forest City, we are continue to offer the COVID-19 rapid testing and the COVID-19 vaccinations. Please call our pharmacy at 828-245-4591 with any questions or concerns that you may have. You may also visit our website at smithsdrugsfc.com and schedule your COVID rapid 19 test or your vaccination. Again, if you have any questions, please call our pharmacy at 828-245-4591.
Smith's Drugs of Forest City is offering the flu vaccines. You can walk in Monday through Friday or by appointment only on Saturdays. The Dream Station and System 1 CPAP customers, if you need assistance registering your recall devices, you can call the Home Medical Department at 245-4591. And Smith's Drugs has a large selection of in-stock mastectomy bras, now half price. So come by our Home Equipment Department on West Main Street in Forest City. Smith's Drugs, 245-4591.
This is Dwayne Hunt with Insurance Service Associates, wanting to let you know that we have moved. Our new office is located at 245 East Main Street in Forest City. Come see us for auto, home, or your commercial insurance needs. Also come see me, Dwayne Hunt, for your Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage, or prescription drug plans. See us at Insurance Service Associates, now located at 245 East Main Street in Forest City, or call 828-245-5301.
Thank you, Dwayne. Hey, listen, I know many of you love yard sales, and I know a bunch of you enjoy Anchor Down because it's like an indoor yard sale, except much of the merchandise is new. And listen to this, clothes and shoes 50 cents, pocketbooks are $2, Anchor Down carries small kitchen appliances, electronics, furniture, most things $5 or less with the exception of antiques and furniture. There are deals all over the store. They get a new load every week, and sure, you may have to step over an item to get to another, but that's part of the fun of browse shopping, isn't it? Anchor Down is located at 155 West Main Street, downtown Forest City, right across the street there from Carolina Chiropractic. Anchordown is open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Today's Friday, so they're open 10 until 3 today. Closed on Saturday, so get over there today and see for yourself why Anchordown is becoming one of Rutherford County's popular places to shop. All right, 20 minutes after the hour, Braves baseball this evening again, a little earlier than last night, not much, but a little bit. Airtime is 6:05. First pitch is 7:15, and they play again on Saturday and again on Sunday. That's an afternoon Sunday game as well. They lost last night, their opening game, to the Reds 6-3. Let me mention again, those of you who like those pocket schedules you ask about every year, generally the Braves get them to us kind of late in the season. But this year, we got them early, so they're here now. If you like those Braves pocket schedules, come by. We have plenty of those to share with you. Hey, bosses, listen to me. It's time to nominate your secretary or administrative assistant in the annual WCAB Secretary's Day promotion. Send her name and the company name to WCAB no later than April 25th. You can send it via fax to 828-287-7182 or email it to me, Jim Bishop, at nctv.com, or mail it to the Post Office Box 511, Rutherford, 28139, or bring it by the studio at 191 Whiteside Road, Rutherford. The drawing will be taking place during the morning show, April 27th. The selected 10 will go to lunch with me on Friday, the 29th, and showered with flowers and gifts. She's counting on you, boss. Don't disappoint her. It's fun to be able to get back to do this. For the past 2 years, we have been unable to do that due to COVID restrictions, but now things are opened up a lot, and we'll hope you'll take advantage of this, bosses, and nominate your secretary to be the secretary of the day. Sergeant Brandel was with us earlier this morning, gave us a report from the activities at the Sheriff's Department. We recorded it for broadcast at this time, and here is Sergeant Brandel.
Past 24 hours, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office has answered 130 calls, processed 14 arrests, and currently have 169 incarcerated. Under our arrest reports, we have a Travis Dale Dupree, 41-year-old white male of Union Mills, was charged with one count of failure to appear on a felony, given a $30,000 secured bond. We have a Christopher Eugene Packer, 36-year-old white male of Rutherford, was charged with one count of possession with intent to manufacture, sell, or deliver Schedule 2, possession drug paraphernalia, and simple possession Schedule 3. Looks like he was given a $45,000 secured bond on that. We have a Haley Summers Ammons, 29-year-old white female of Forest City, was charged with one count of failure to appear on a misdemeanor, given a $1,000 secured bond. We have a Gerald Wayne Noblet, 63-year-old white male of Union Mills, was charged with 2 counts of failure to appear on a misdemeanor and 2 counts of breaking and entering, given a $2,000 secured bond on that. And we have a Alexandro Garcia, 64-year-old male of Bostic, was charged with one count of indecent liberties with a child, given a $50,000 secure bond on that. Under our incident reports, we have a April Guffey from Helens Lane in Rutherford reported a B&E to motor vehicle and larceny from a motor vehicle. Looks like approximately maybe $70 in cash was taken. We have a Matthew Murray from Lefford Road, Ellenborough, reported larceny of a motor vehicle. Looks like it's going to be a 2008 BMW dark blue in color, valued at $5,800. We have a Vicky Gordon from Union Mills, Painters Gap Road, Union Mills, reported a breaking and entering and larceny. Looks like a brown in color pool stick was taken in that incident. Also, that's where Mr. Gerald Noblet was arrested and charged with breaking and entering. We also have a Leah Scram from Union Mills, or Painters Gap Road in Union Mills, also reported a B&E. Taken there was 2 watches and a lighter and a pocket knife. And Mr. Noblet was also charged with that B&E. And that's all we have this morning.
Thank you, Sergeant Brandel, for that report. Now, join Todd Kaiser in the morning. He'll be handling the wake-up call here in the Blue Room at the Gospel Hour, and then Call Around News Report and Gilbert Carmona at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Busy Saturday morning, just in time for you to have a coffee with us on Saturday mornings. Have a good weekend, folks. Enjoy the sun and the wind. Tie the old kangaroo down, boys.
NCN Sports, I'm Josh Zach. We start with NHL action and the Carolina Hurricanes picking up a win last night by rallying from a pair of 2-goal deficits to beat the Sabres 5-3 at PNC Arena, and in doing so, they clinched a playoff berth. Head coach Rod Brindamore has been with the organization for the good years as a player and in its system as a coach during the 10-year postseason drought, and now as head coach, he has got the Canes back in the playoffs again. He says consistency has been the plan all along.
That's what we wanted to get accomplished really since day one of 4 years ago. It wasn't just to have a good team here and there, it was to be good for a long time and give this area a team to be proud of. That's really what it is. And I think, the fact that we're sitting here, I can remember 4 years ago when we got in, it was like, it felt awesome. Now it's like, the fact that we're just expected to do it, that's a huge shift in, how I think we all perceive us, and that's something to be proud of.
Hurricanes continuing to lead the Metro Division by 2 points over the Rangers, who kept pace by beating the Penguins 3-0 last night. NBA action, the Hornets routed the Orlando Magic 128-101 to pull within a game of Atlanta and Brooklyn, who are tied for 8th place in the Eastern Conference. Last night's win also assures Hornets of their first non-losing season since the 2015-2016 campaign. Round 2 of the Masters getting underway this morning from Augusta. Sanjay M, the first-round leader, he shot a 5-under-67 yesterday. Tiger Woods just 4 shots off the lead. He says he could have shot better than a 1-under-71, but he's happy to be in the red.
After as long a layoff as I've had and not being in competitive golf, I am as sore as I expected to feel. I'm going to be sore, yes. That's just the way it is. I'll get into my own little world, and I'll get after it.
Scotty Scheffler and Dustin Johnson are 2 shots back, as are Danny Willett and Joaquin Niemann. This is NCN Sports.
You never know what is going on in someone else's family. You don't know the health of their parents, their family members, their grandparents.
It would be very difficult for me to be vaccinated and for my child not to have that same protection. So it's time for all parents to have that conversation with their pediatricians.
Vaccines are an important part of the puzzle, and we can get back to making sure that their childhood is not a pandemic, but just normal and fun and happy.
Kids have a spot
to take their shot.
Visit myspot.nc.gov to schedule your child's COVID-19 vaccine today.
If you or someone you know has been the victim of a crime, the North Carolina Department of Public Safety Office of Victim Services is here to provide support. The office provides a range of free, confidential services to help you regain yourself, receive compensation for damages incurred, protect yourself and your family, and move beyond the stigma of being victimized. Visit ncdps.gov/4victims. That's ncdps.gov/4victims.
Opening day in Major League Baseball on Thursday. There were 9 games, and the Chicago Cubs opened with a 5-4 win over the Milwaukee Brewers. Ian Happ had 3 hits, including a tie-breaking 2-run double in the 7th. Tyler O'Neill hit a 3-run homer and drove in 5 to lead the St. Louis Cardinals to a 9-0 rout of Pittsburgh. Adam Wainwright allowed just 5 hits over 6 innings of his 6th opening day start and first since 2016. Bobby Witt Jr. capped his highly anticipated big league debut with his first hit and a go-ahead double with 2 outs in the 8th in Kansas City's 3-1 win over Cleveland. And the defending World Series champion stumbling out of the gate, Tyler Mahle allowed only an unearned run in 5 innings to outpitch Max Fried in Cincinnati's 6-3 downing of the Braves in Atlanta. Josh Zach, NCN Sports.
Hello and happy Friday. For the day ahead, we'll see a mostly sunny to partly cloudy afternoon. Some stray showers are possible, though, as a front moves east. Our highs today will be staying in the 60s, windy at times as well through the day. For tonight, we'll see a mostly clear sky. Chilly nights ahead will be starting off in the upper 30s to lower 40s Saturday morning. Partly to mostly cloudy skies Saturday afternoon with highs in the mid to upper 50s to around 60 just towards the south. More sunshine for Sunday. I'm meteorologist Zach Malak in the Weather Center.
Sunny skies and 42 degrees here on this early morning, 8:29, and we are warming up to about 55 with some wind gusting to about 30 miles per hour today. and a slight chance of some precipitation falling later on today. But it's going to be another great weekend anyway. Let's enjoy it. It's 8:30, time now for the Word of Faith Fellowship radio program. And with the program today is Greg and Susanna Sutherland.
Good morning, Rutherford County, and thank you for listening in this morning. My name is Greg. This is my wife, Susanna, and we're just very grateful to be able to be here with you today and share what God's been sharing with us, because that's what it's all about, is to help each other to make it. You know, God gave us life. God put us here at the time that we're here. I'm convinced that we're here because God has a reason for that, and God has a reason for you being here. So we're here to encourage you, and hopefully this is going to help you have a great day today. So where God's been speaking to us this past week or so has been out of Proverbs chapter 3. And I'm sure most of you probably heard this verse before, but I want you to listen to it with new ears this time to really hear what God's wanting to say to us, because it's really helped change my life. So in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 8, I'm reading out of the Amplified. It says, "Lean on, trust in, and be confident in the Lord with all your heart and mind." Now that's a powerful statement right there. That means putting everything about you, everything you do, everything you think, everything you feel, putting it aside and trusting in God. And the next part says, with all your heart and your mind, and do not, underline that, do not rely on your own insight or understanding. And I've heard this verse most of my life, but when I saw that, it's like it just jumped off the page at me that do not rely on your own insight and understanding. I began to ask God to show me throughout my day where I don't listen to, where I don't really know and trust in and be confident in the Lord, and where I do rely on my own insight and understanding. You know, this world we live in, we're trained to be on our own, to think on our own, to make our own way, self-made millionaire, self-made whatever. But you know, that's the total opposite of the call of God, of the plan of God on our lives, because God says very plainly right here through Solomon, he says, do not rely on your own insight or your understanding. Well, why is that? The next verse says, in all your ways, that leaves nothing out, in all your ways, know, recognize, and acknowledge Him, God. That means in everything we do, we should be very aware of, is God leading and guiding me? Is God directing me? Am I hearing God's voice to do this today? Am I hearing God's voice to say this right now? And you may think, well, that's really getting down to very detailed. You know, every single thing I say? Absolutely. Because the God of the universe, the God that put the stars in the sky, that made this planet here, that put our sun up there for us, and made us, cares about the details. And He has a plan and a purpose for everything that He does, for every single person being born, and He has a good path for us, a good plan for us. The problem is, many times we veer off that course, and we end up in trouble. We end up with bad situations, and we're wondering, well, what happened? Why did that happen to me? Well, because we did not know, recognize, and acknowledge God being in whatever we're doing. You know, I'm 55 years old now. And even at 55, I'm still learning to settle down. And Jesus, how do I get to work today? What way do you want me to go? How many people have been injured, killed in car accidents because they didn't go the way God sent them? And that's how detailed, that's how much God cares for us, that He knows what's ahead for us. I mean, God really does know what's ahead, what's the best plan for us. But we've been taught, we've been trained from, like I said, the day we were born to make our own way and decide for us what's the best path for our life. And we don't know. Nobody has the ability to know what's in front of us, what's going to happen the next minute, what's going to happen the next day. We don't know that. But I've watched in every situation where I have trusted God with my life. I may not know the details. I may not know why He's having me do what I'm doing, but there's a reason. And I'll get down the road a little bit and God will say, here's why. I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus, that you led and guided me so that I didn't go down the wrong path. You know, we were talking about Abraham, and in Hebrews chapter 11, you know, it talks about the people of faith in the Bible. And in verse 11, it talks about Abraham. It says, urged on by faith, Abraham, when he was called, he obeyed. Now, to me, that's a very, very powerful statement. When he was called, he obeyed. He didn't lean on and rely on his own insight, his own understanding. It says that Abraham was born and lived in Ur of the Chaldees. It was heathen, it was pagan God worshiping, but Abraham heard God's voice. There was a cry in his heart. There was a place in his heart. He heard God's voice. God called him out. In Genesis, it says God told him to go to a place that he didn't know about, but just to go and to leave his family and friends. And it says Abraham obeyed. And he went forth to a place which he was destined to receive as an inheritance. And he went, although he did not know or trouble his mind about where he was to go. I love that part of that verse. He didn't think about it. He didn't sit there and consider it. Well, what about this? What about my family going to say? What about all my friends? I got my business here. It says when he was called, he obeyed. He did not trouble his mind about where he was to go. And at every point in Abraham's life, go back and read that in Genesis, God took care of him. Every single point, because Abraham just simply obeyed and he trusted in, he leaned on, and he was confident in the Lord, like Solomon said in Proverbs. Now, God wrote those for us in the Bible because he had given us examples for us to follow in our everyday lives. So, Susanna, tell them what you saw in Genesis where Abraham was with Isaac.
So in Genesis 22, the verse 1, after these events, God tested and proved Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, here I am. And God said, take now your son, your only son, Isaac. Now, they had prayed. He and Sarah had prayed for a child, and God had given them Isaac, and they loved him so greatly. But God said, take now your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering upon one of the mountains of which I tell you. So that means he's telling, you're going to give him up. I've given you this son, and you're going to just go and offer him as a burnt offering. That would have been very hard if he took that in his mind and listened to those thoughts about, but God, you gave me this son, and now you're telling me to kill him. You know, that would have been very hard if he went to his own understanding, his own insight, and his reasoning. But Abraham didn't. He didn't. He rose up early in the morning, saddled his donkey, took 2 of his young men with him, and his son Isaac. He split the wood for the burnt offering, and they began the trip to the place of which God had told him. He did not think in his mind. He obviously did not. He just obeyed, like Greg was saying. He obeyed what God told him. He obeyed. And we know the story, how they went on, and in the middle of it, Isaac turns to his dad and he says, well, we've got everything, but where's the lamb for the sacrifice? And Abraham, out of his faith and his trust in Jesus, he said, God will himself provide a lamb for the burnt offering. And Isaac didn't go on and, but Daddy, what? I don't understand. Isaac also submitted and did the will of God, just trusting his father and trusting in Father God also.
Which, you know, that's a good example for us as parents, that when we put our trust in, when we lean on it, we're confident in the Lord, our lifestyle will preach to our children. You know, a lot of times it doesn't take words to explain something to somebody, but our lifestyles, and obviously Abraham's lifestyle had already influenced Isaac and was teaching him the right way to walk. Because Abraham, in his heart, knew God had a reason and a purpose for doing what he was doing, because he trusted in the Lord with all his heart. He never questioned God because he knew who God was. And then back to Hebrews 11, it says, in verse 11, it talks about his mother, Isaac's mother Sarah. It says, when she had herself received physical power to conceive a child. Now, she was 90 years old when they had this child. Abraham was 100. But they had held on to that promise that God said. They leaned on, they trusted in, and they were confident in the Lord for 25 years. Even when God originally spoke it to them, they were 75 and 60. I mean, that was even impossible then. But God said. And they held on to that, and they held on to that, and they held on to that. It says, even when she was long past the age for it, because she considered God, who had given her the promise, to be reliable and trustworthy and true to his word. And that's why they could walk in right here in Genesis where God sent Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. And like Susanna was saying, you know the rest of the story. God provided the ram for the sacrifice. And God said, Abraham, because you have been willing to give up everything to me, I'm going to bless you. Yes. And really, God was using Abraham to set the stage for Jesus coming. Because Abraham showed by his obedience, his trust, and his reliance on God that it is possible. And God said, because you're willing to give up your son, I'm willing to give up my son. What Abraham did went way beyond himself. It went way beyond Isaac. It went way beyond Sarah. It was for all of us. Think about that, the enormity of what happened. Abraham, what his obedience and his faith in God set the stage to where here we are thousands of years later, and we can come to Jesus and have Jesus come live in us because of what Abraham started with. Abraham set that stage so that when Jesus came, then he could fulfill the call of God on his life. We could walk with God and have Jesus come live on the inside of us. I want to be able to trust in and lean on and be confident in the Lord no matter what. I want that example, and that's what it's saying here in Hebrews. Abraham set an example for us. Then Jesus came, and he set an example for us of every single thing that he did. We'll go back to John chapter 5, verse 30. Everything that Jesus did, he said, I can't do anything, nothing, unless God tells me to. That is truly a leaning on, trusting in, and being confident in the Lord. You know, and Jesus was sharing with the disciples in Luke chapter 11, chapter 12, and it says, and he told them a parable about a rich man who had fertile, plentiful ground, yielded a lot of fruit for him, a lot of harvest. And this rich man considered and debated within himself, what shall I do? I have no place in which to gather my harvest. And he said, I will do this. Now he's talking to himself. I will pull down my storehouses. I will build larger ones. And there I will store all my grain and produce and my goods. And I will say to my soul, soul, you have many good things laid up, enough for many years. Take your ease, eat, drink, and enjoy yourself merrily. Now, is that not what the world teaches us?
Exactly.
Every single day. Do what you think's right. Make your own way. Make all this money. Eat, drink, and be merry. But that totally, completely cuts God out of the picture. No reliance, no leaning on, no trusting in God. And here's the reality of it in verse 20. But God said to him, you fool. Now realize in the Bible, when the word fool is used, it's not talking to somebody that's just an imbecile or out of their mind. It's talking about a rebellious, disobedient person who has cut God off in their life. So God's calling him a fool. He said, this very night, they, the messengers of God, will demand your soul of you. And all these things that you've prepared, whose will they be? And I've thought about that a lot. You know, we're in the end times. We're not waiting for them to come. They are here. And the stage is being set. The plan is being unfolded. God's plan for the ages, what he has set in motion thousands and thousands of years ago, is in motion right now. And we don't know from one minute to the next what's going to happen. We don't know when the messengers of God will come for us. That's right. And God wants us to be ready. God wants every one of us to be ready. God has a plan for all of us to go to heaven. But that depends on us. That depends on us making those decisions to put aside ourselves like Abraham did. He put aside. That's really what God was asking him. Will you put aside everything, the most valuable thing that you have, the thing you asked me for? Are you willing to put that aside and lean on and trust in and be confident in me? And Abraham, up out of his heart, without thinking, without troubling his mind about it, had a yes and an amen on the inside of him. Because I love that part that she read where it says Abraham got up early in the morning. He didn't give himself time to think about it. And a lot of times that's the problem. We give ourselves time to think.
Exactly.
And we reason God away and we think, well, you know, I can't do that. How can I do that? And we start down this path and the devil seduces us away from God, what God wanted us to do. I mean, think about it. Go back to Genesis chapter 3 with Adam and Eve in the garden. It says in verse 1, now the serpent was more subtle and crafty than any living creature of the field which the Lord God had made. Now at this point, it was Adam and Eve in the garden. All the animals God had made, all the trees, grass, fruits, whatever God had made. That's all that was there. And Adam and Eve fellowshiped with God continually. They knew his presence. He was known by them. He would come down and walk with them and talk with them and fellowship with them. He provided every single thing that they needed.
That's right.
Now, God wants to do the same thing for us. Yes. That's the kind of relationship God wants with us. He wants that relationship where he's with us all the time. We're talking to him. He's talking with us. He's leading us. Don't go this way. Go this way. Psalms chapter 40, the psalmist David says that God will lead us, and he's given us the capacity to hear his voice and obey. And Adam and Eve had that. And it says that he, Satan, said to the woman through that serpent, can it really be that God has said? And stop for a minute. Think about it. When God's voice comes to you, or you have a voice comes to you, many times the next voice that comes is, did God really say that? Was that really God? Because that devil wants to come. He doesn't want God speaking to us. He doesn't want us hearing and recognizing, or like in Proverbs where it says, to know, recognize, and acknowledge him. Because the moment we know, we recognize, and we acknowledge he spoke that to us, and we lock our hearts into that, set our will to obey what God said, the devil has no power over us. So that devil comes in there immediately to try to steal what God's trying to do in us, what God's saying to us. And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat the fruit from the trees of the garden, except the fruit from the tree which is in the middle of the garden. God has said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And right there, her mind had started to waver, because God didn't say don't touch it. God said don't eat of it. If you go back and read in Genesis 1 and 2, God said don't eat it. So somewhere she'd already started, her mind had started to waver. She's listening to that devil. But the serpent said to the woman, you shall not surely die. God didn't really say that. God didn't say that to you. He doesn't mean that. It says, for God knows in that day that you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing the difference between good and evil and blessing and calamity. That reasoning already started on the inside. Yeah, but, you know, maybe that's right. Maybe it's okay to eat that. And we may not have the devil come to us about maybe eating that fruit, but how many times does God say, go this way? God says, do this. God says, don't go there. Don't do this. I mean, we can give a lot of examples in our lives of where God has said, don't do that. And we did it anyway. And the torment and the destruction that came in our lives because of that. I can think of several situations right off where God said, don't have a relationship with that person. God said, don't do this. God never told me to do this, but I did it anyway because it's what I wanted. I listened to that devil say, but God, it's not really going to happen what God said. And it brought a lot of destruction in my life. It brought a lot of destruction in your life.
Yes.
And that's not God's plan for us. God has good things planned for us. But when we listen to that devil like Eve did, and it says in verse 6, and when the woman saw that the tree was good, she saw, she looked. She's deciding for herself. She's relying on her own insight, her own understanding. It says, and that it was good and suitable and pleasant for food. It was delightful to look at, a tree to be desired in order to make one wise. So she began to reason. She began to look at all the good things about it. Okay, it looks good. Looks like it'd be really good to eat. I like looking at that tree and the fruit. And besides that, it's going to make me wise. Why would I not want to eat of that? But it's the same reasoning. The devil doesn't have anything new. He always comes with that same reasoning to say, but what God said is not good for you. What God said is not going to be right for you. And we begin to listen to that, and we're deceived, and we go down the wrong path. And it says that she took the fruit and she ate. And then she also gave it to her husband, and he ate it. She was a path of destruction for herself, for her husband, and her husband went right with it. But how many times does this happen to us? Let's don't throw stones at Adam and Eve. How many times does that happen to us? And we go down those paths because of what we think, what we decide is right. And it may not be right that moment that we suffer the consequences. It may be years down the road. But we're still going to suffer those consequences because God said the wages of sin is death. Sometimes that means physical. And sin will lead to a physical death, but the death that we experience from the moment we sin until then, that's what he's talking about. You know, I don't want that. God does not want that for us. That's not his plan for us. That's why he's got happy paths, it says, established for us, because he knows what's best. But that takes a desire in your heart. That takes you grabbing hold of your heart and crying out with everything in you that I want the will of God for my life because he knows best. It's not something you can just decide in your mind, I'm going to do this. Yes, God knows best. That devil will always come and try to seduce you out of that. But when it becomes a conviction, a desire in your heart, nothing can change that for you. Your heart is settled, it is fixed in God, and that's the plan of God for our lives, and then everything is happy. And really happiness, what we've found is, happiness is not that everything goes right for you. Because you're going to have bumps in the road, right? You're going to have things that come to try to shake your faith, to try to test your faith, just like Job. Those things came to test and to prove. But you know, in the end, when Job repented, God brought it all back around. And it changed Job's heart. And it says that God blessed him with twice as much as he had before. That's the God that loves us and that wants us to serve him. He really does have good things for us. And when we stray off that path, he has provided a way of escape. He has provided a way back to him, and his name is Jesus. Jesus is the only way back. Because Jesus came and he gave up his life, he gave up everything. Even before he came to the earth, it says that he laid aside all his majesty, all his glory, being the Son of God. He set that aside so that he could come to earth in human form and walk here and make a way for you and I to make it to heaven, to be with God like he is. He laid everything aside, even to the point of death. And I marvel at this, that Jesus knew, he knew all along the death that awaited him. He knew what was coming, but he chose to lean on, trust in, and be confident in his God, in his Father, because he knew him as Father. And he knew the end result. Many times we look at what's right here in front of us. You know, it's like horses that have blinders on. All we can see is what's right here in front of us. Many times people will choose not to have surgery because they're afraid of the pain, or they're afraid of whatever, or I'm afraid I'm going to lose my money, so I don't want to do this. But they don't trust in and confident in the Lord, because when God knows what's coming, he can walk you through anything. I had a kidney stone attack last year. And for those of you that have had kidney stones, you know how painful that is. But you know, I had to go through some surgeries because of it. Growing up, I'd had a lot of fear about surgery and what that meant, what was going to happen, you know. But you know, I through that situation, I chose to put my confidence and my trust in God and let him walk me through that. And the grace of God and the peace of God that was with me was just incredible, because God provided it. But I chose, it was my will, I chose not to think about it. I chose not to lay there in the bed waiting for the surgery to think about what's going to happen. What about this? I chose to put my confidence in the Lord. I remember laying there in the waiting area before going back to the operating room, looking at the ceiling and just praying, God, you know what's going to happen. You have a hold of my life. There's nothing I can do about it. And I just prayed and put my heart into his hands. And he brought me through that. It was miraculous. It was easy because God did it. God did that. And God will take you through anything. When our daughter was born, she had a condition where she was basically dead when she was born. There were some things that happened, but you know what? God's grace came on us. We took hold of each other. And I remember that night and the peace of God that came and the presence of God that flooded that room. And I remember them working with Ashley when she was born. And I remember her turning and looking at me because I called her name from across the room. And she turned and looked at me, and the Spirit of God spoke to me on the inside and said, it's going to be okay. And I had peace. And you know, through that whole thing, God, again, took hold of Ashley. He had a hold of her life. He had a hold of her life. He's the one that gave her life. God saved her. God delivered her. Nothing was wrong with her. And she's a beautiful young woman today. Nothing wrong with her. Nothing was ever wrong with her because God took hold of her life. And I say all that to say, to encourage you that no matter what happens today, no matter what comes up, God can walk you through it. That's right. And that's where peace comes. You know, we all experience things in our day, whatever it is, whatever your job is, whatever you're doing at home, whatever you're going through, we all experience things that seem traumatic, that seem like it's going to be a bad situation. But if we choose to turn our mind off, take hold of our hearts, surrender our hearts to God, let him be God, let him take us by the hand and walk us down the path that he has for us, everything will turn out good. Everything. And that's what I want you, that's what we want you to lock in your heart today, to store in your heart, to ponder in your heart today as you go through whatever you go through. God is right there. And no matter what's happened in your past, no matter what you're facing, to, like it says in Proverbs, lean on, trust in, be confident in the Lord, and do not rely on your own understanding and your own insight. That's right. God has a good path for you today. God has a good plan for you today. All he wants you to do is take your life out of your keeping and put yourself into his keeping. If you remember in Philippians, the Philippian jailer, you know, where Paul and Silas were in jail. And it was a bad situation. They were innocent, shouldn't have been there. But they were in the dungeon. Their feet were locked up. But it says at midnight, they were singing and praising God. And everybody heard them. And God himself came down and shook that prison. And it shook the shackles off their feet. It opened all the doors. And the Philippian jailer woke up. And back then, he was responsible for all those prisoners. And if any one of them escaped, his life was forfeit. And so he knew that. So he was getting ready to kill himself. And Paul was aware of that. Paul said, no, don't kill yourself. We're here. And that Philippian jailer, it shook him to his senses. And he went running in there. He said, what do I have to do to be saved? And the next thing that Paul said to him was very powerful. He said, believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. And he went on to explain that means take yourself out of your keeping and put yourself into his keeping, into God's keeping, and you and your household will be saved. And that's exactly what that man did. And Jesus, if you remember, when he was here on the earth, he took a little child because they asked him, who's greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus took a little child and he put him in the middle of them and he said, unless you become trusting, lowly, loving, and forgiving like a little child, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Children, especially young children, they're very trusting. They're very forgiving. They're very quick to say, forgive me. They're very humble. That's what God wants us to be like because we're his children. So let's practice being his children today and trusting him with all our heart. We're grateful you were here today. We hope this has really helped you. You can listen to all our radio programs at wordoffaithfellowship.org. They're all recorded there for you. We're grateful you're here. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at WCAB at 8:30 to 9. Have a great day.
WCAB, the music's on us.